Is this the Iron Man song?
And I pronounce this study group closed. And
Thank
we
you.
move into the afters, and especially if those of you who are who have taken responsibility for leading the groups would stay on, but anybody else who has something they'd like to say, join us and we'll chat for a few minutes. And check your emails because you're going to be getting an email from me imminently with a link and a date.
And I'm hoping I'll get one from Larry Philbrook also. He was going to send emails of one of his graphics. That would be good.
You should already have it.
Oh, great. Okay, lovely.
Well, as a
Thank
great
you, everyone
mentor
on
of mine would say,
T5. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you. It's been great.
so
for
much.
now, we are complete.
Now we, yes.
Not forever, just for now. And I have to take a minor break. Maybe both.
My email looks like it has refused to send this email.
It's not the right time. You will know the right time when it is sent.
Eva, how did it go for you?
It has been wonderful to connect and to hear all of your incredible perspectives. And, you know, as Sunny mentioned, I have taught a course actually very similar to this, but much less in depth and like very simplified for the common, a little bit quicker integration perhaps. But the depth of this and the connection in the community here, really seeing what everybody's involved in and what everyone has been involved in has been a really true gift. So I'm very grateful, and a lot of laughter and joy. Really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dharma, how about you?
Ask the question again, please.
I forget the question. How'd it go for you? What struck you? I don't know.
Yeah, well, this was a great session today. You know, I didn't know that this is how it would shape up, but for me, it kind of rounded up the entire study. I think the questions we asked in the inquiry section were right on target in terms of the next steps and so forth. So that was excellent because it really inspired me, at least personally, and I think it brought us, all of us, to this stage where we are discussing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing what we started the study in more of a practical form and seeing how we can collaborate perhaps in the future.
Judy, how about you?
Been very, very meaningful at just the right moment, I think, for me. And I feel like there are new ways to new energy that I have and places to use it.
Martine?
No, it's been a great, reflecting on all of the sessions, it's been, I think, it's been a wonderful opportunity for me personally, and I feel like our group had very powerful conversation, and we never wanted to do any journaling or any smaller group work. I think we just like to talk with each other, so that's what we did.
In what way meaningful for you?
For me, it was, for the first time, taking a really depth look at these issues and in a very personal way. I think just working through this material made me much more conscious of the things that we're facing relative to climate change, etc. And I started noticing many things happening in my life that were leading me to pain and grief and sorrow, basically, around this. And I'm not out of that yet. So I feel hopeful, but at the same time, I feel, as some in our group have said, just overwhelmed.
It's going to be important for those of you with deep training in religion to figure out ways to help us express, like in some of the Psalms, that the depth of sorrow in a way that doesn't just make us sad, but connects us to the source of being in life.
No, I think you're right. And I think we discussed in our group how difficult it is to actually face that sorrow and that grief. I mean, it certainly not something that I had a whole lot of time for, even though I've often said that I'm very interested in addressing the environment, but not at this level. I mean, this is a serious grappling with, internal issues.
Yeah.
To move forward, I think, in a healthy way and in a hopeful way.
Thank you. How about you, Sonny? You're muted.
Mute. Unmute.
Because I had to take a little break. Was it about this session? The question about this session, what it meant, or the whole thing?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh. Okay.
Whatever. Don't allow your facilitator to drink rum before he starts facilitating.
Well, that journaling exercise was really helpful to me. The questions were, as Dharma said, they were spot on in terms of what I ought to be asking myself. And I got some revelations out of it that I had not yet seen. Overall, this has been such a heightening of the urgency and the horror, and a real call to what does participating in starting something toward the uplift look like. So I'm complete.
Thank you, Sonny.
Yeah.
How about you, Joyce?
You know, how in 12-step programs, they talk about, going down and down and down and down and down and down till you hit bottom, and then coming up the other side until you are weller than well. So I was thinking about that as part of the deep dive that we've been up to in the last weeks. And after that timeline, I really I don't know, I stuck it in some book and lost track of it. All that. It was hard. It was really emotionally hard. And that was also the time when my sister and I gave her this book for her birthday. And then I was visiting her a 3 weeks later. She came to that session with Dwayne Elgin. And Louie and I were out on a walk in their neighborhood. We were visiting them, and there was, those little libraries where you put your books. And my sister put that book in the giveaway library. It was only 2 weeks after I gave it to her. It was a hard few weeks in there in the beginning, just emotionally and this also, it was getting so real and so overwhelming. And then the last couple sessions have really been starting to come up that other side. I'm not all the way up the other side, but starting to come up the other side, where I can start to really see, okay, I think I can live in this world that's got this going on. And I think I can find a way to plug in to do a piece among other people doing their piece. And the thing that made me feel that way the most was just doing this study in our group. If I had been reading this book on my own, I would have put it in the little library for the neighborhood also, probably. I mean, you know, it was just so helpful to have this community and the fact that we have common memory in this community. It's not like it's any bunch of people. It's people you've known and worked with in various ways over the years, for the most part. It's been very, very helpful to have that as our way of doing this work. And so, you know, I would love to see us figure our way into some next steps for those that want to move forward together. So here I am. Yeah. So
David.
I felt it was really, really, really helpful.
Thanks, Joyce. David. And I just, before David speaks, I just want to say thank you to David.
Yes.
Who's been holding on to group book studies, I think for longer than I've been alive. And who unfailingly, when it comes time to organize the next session, has already read it and has already decided a couple of really important questions. Anyway, now that I've stolen your thunder, David, what's your reflection?
This was, I think, I looked at the list of books that our little book club had gone through over the last 10 years. And by far, of course, this was the one that had more participation and was more meaningful to me than even the last one. And I agree with Joyce. The week of doing the timeline was the most difficult. It's the week that Ellen dropped out. And it's the week right before we had a family reunion in Wisconsin. And I tried to talk it through with my 3 sons, one of whom lives on the East Coast and one of whom lives on the West Coast.
Wow.
And realizing that I probably won't make the 30s, and it's a good chance that my 3 sons won't make the 40s. And so it's left up to my grandchildren, who could live until the 90s quite easily, but not easily. And so that journaling exercise tonight was good for me, because I live in a senior community where the average age of the people is 90 years old. And they all have sons and daughters and grandchildren. And I'm not sure how to present it to them. But I might leave a book out on the table too. And there are groups of people in Rochester, Minnesota that I could work with probably to hopefully make an electronic town meeting happen. We'll see.
David,
But-
do you know that Louis Pierce works out of Rochester 3 days a week? He actually stays in Rochester and then he works in Chatfield. This is probably be the case for a number of months. So
We should have lunch together someday.
yeah. So he's in charge of a dental clinic in Chatfield. I probably could meet sometime after work with you.
Thank
Okay.
you, David. And Corinne, and just to say, someone said they were really impressed with the questions. So 3 cheers to David and Corinne who worked on coming up with slight modifications to Dwayne and Colleen's outline, and outlined those questions. What's your reflection, Corinne?
Well, I've had a lot, as people have shared, and I first want to just thank everyone for your heartfelt sharing tonight, and also express my deep appreciation for Jim and David as really being the initiators and force behind making this work. And for me personally, this has been really a powerful process. And at the beginning of the year, I did my own personal visioning process. And one of the things that I put on my vision for the year was to find or create a like-minded community. And I feel like this group has been part of that coming true for me, and to be very inspired by the people here. And in the comments in the chat, Vicky wrote something about so many accomplished, dedicated, and authentic people. And I would just add not only that, but inspiring people. And I've felt really humbled to be a part of this group, whereas many of you've had years of time together. This is new for me, and really basically I've had very little exposure to the ICA in my life. So I'm grateful for that. It's also motivated me to create a local community and to get involved in a local community and be more active in that. I've had a lot of grief throughout the process, and initially friends asked me not to talk about this because they found it depressing and didn't want to hear what I was reading about. And I had a lot of grief about recognizing that the life that I planned on living was not going to happen. And I just had gone through retiring and having this wonderful image of traveling and doing lots of things that would be fun. And then I feel guilty if I get on a plane. So now it's just like, I think one of the things Joyce said about kind of, you have to hit bottom before you can kind of decide where you're going in the future. And I think that's, I think this group helped me hit bottom. And I feel much more positive now about the future. I also just say that initially, when I signed up and volunteered to be a group leader, facilitator, I've done a lot of facilitation in my life, so I wasn't concerned about facilitating. But what I thought was, I mean, these are all expert facilitators. You all have designed and developed facilitation methods, and I felt like intimidated by the group. And yet I was really committed that if I was going to get value out of this, I was going to jump in completely and give it my all. So I thank you for the opportunity to do that. And the timeline for me was a turning point. because even though there's a lot of negative and the idea of the collapse and the downturn, there was hope at the end of it. It was like it was the first time I saw the light, and I saw the light through my grandchildren and my unborn grandchildren and the future leaders. And I also felt a real shift in our group in that session. And I think the vulnerability of people expressing their feelings and being really vulnerable created a sense of intimacy in our group that I don't think would have been there otherwise. It took it from being an academic to kind of an intimate sharing. And so I'm very grateful for the group that I've been a part of, and for all of that. And I made a long list of things that I'm going to follow up on tonight. So I'm going into action as soon as this is over.
Nancy.
Yes. So, I mean, my response, I just found the first few chapters so interminable, where we were going over and over the sadness of this. And Dwayne Elgin to me seemed sad, and like he was carrying a huge weight. And of course, anything that sounds so grim, and I've got children in their early 30s, 2 kids in their early 30s. It's a hard message to take in on the personal level, But finally, we got to the chapters that started talking about the lift and the things that we can do to make a way forward and to support the earth and the earth voice. So I was rejoicing finally in that. I mean, I didn't feel like my next steps were terrifically concrete, but I must say that I stay very, very busy. And I saw ways that I could, I felt in myself that I would prioritize this over some other things that I'm very busy doing. But I'm also being on the ICA board, I'm extremely excited about these ideas of collaborating with other portions of ourselves. ICA USA with ICA International. Just think of all the ICA Internationals collaborating with each other. And then not to mention TOP and IAF, just powerful powerhouse organizations that it would just be amazing to get all of us collaborating. So feeling very, very hopeful in the end. Did Jim drop out? Oh, there he is. He's in the dark. Oh, Jim, I had to say that I did bump into somebody who told me that you were trying to illustrate the contradictions in a human development consult way back when in India, and you acted out the part of a bullock who was chained up or something like that. So we have our own imaginal educators here.
Yeah, we may have our own imaginal educators, but just to say, my son has electronic smart light switches. And you have to ask Siri or Alexa or somebody to turn them on, and I have no idea how to do that. So thank you all. Bye, Martine.
Thanks, Martine.
I really thank you all. Anything else that needs to be said before we go? Again, thank you all.
Yeah, I hope we find a creative way to move forward together. I'm sure we will. We'll work on it.
You don't think we should just like collapse into despair?
Yeah. Maybe not.
Like it.
Been there, done that.
My thumb is tired of being sucked.
No, this is great. And I appreciate all of you, all of everybody, but especially all of you. And Corrine, Thank you for being with us. I thought you'd been with us for 40, 50 years. See, I know nothing.
You just smoothly fit right in. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dharma, for sticking in even though you're desperately ill, or at least need a haircut.
Get well.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Deborah, I like
Please
it. I
do.
like your hair the way it is. I like it.
All right.
Yeah, the curls are nice.
So by
Oh,
now you
wow.
should have received, how many, did you receive the email?
I
Maybe.
can look and see.
Haven't looked.
Yes.
So you could go right to that link and start filling out your responses
Oh,
Okay.
great.
while
Yeah.
it's on your
Okay.
mind.
It's 9:48. I'm sure I'm going to be doing that right now.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much.
Bye-bye all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Looking
Bye.
forward to
Everyone.
talking again.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye then.
Much love.
Much love.
Yeah.
Same to you all. Bye.
So David, Colleen suggested that alternate date that would be better because of them moving. So I figured let's just go with that rather than negotiating more.
What is the alternative date?
It's in the email, August 4th, which is a Wednesday at 7:30 Central Time.
Okay. Okay.
All right, anything else?
No,
That closing dedication was amazing.
why?
Why? Because you brought in this notion of the meditative council, and you turned it into kind of a pious closure, from turning it from a sort of pious close your eyes and be present to a real journey through our consciousness to see who was there and who was pushing us. It was very wonderful. Thank you. Especially
I do wanna share-
especially from such an old guy.
I do want to share my newest member, what he said. He said you should get in good trouble.
Oh, yeah, this is John Lewis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should get in good trouble. And there's no way that I could help but get in good trouble when I'm with you.
Well, no, that's really good. That's really good. This is what Dava was saying she appreciated and Corinne were saying. To have just a kind of a community of instigators to help us reach out and move forward. Yeah, that's very good. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be in touch. I'll try to get this thing written up in the next few days. I've started. I'm up to session 4 already,
All right.
but session 5 is a tough one.
All right. I'm gonna go eat dinner. And I can't
Okay.
see, you can't see me anymore because it's so dark here.
I can see you,
All right.
the mystery man.
Take care,
Let's see.
David. Love to Ellen.
I'm gonna click on end.
All right.